Australia is staring down one of the most dangerous cyclones to hit Queensland in over a decade. Severe Tropical Cyclone Narelle has reached Category 5 intensity, the highest on the Australian scale. According to the Bureau of Meteorology, sustained winds near the centre are sitting at 205 kilometres per hour. Wind gusts are reaching 285 kilometres per hour, confirmed by BOM at 10 o'clock this morning, AEST. And right now, Narelle is charging toward the far north Queensland coast at 26 kilometres per hour. BOM's warning issued at 10:50 this morning Eastern Standard Time confirms landfall between Lockhart River and Cape Melville on Friday. Meanwhile, Sydney is copping a soaking from severe thunderstorms producing dangerous flash flooding this afternoon. And inland Queensland and South Australia are still dealing with major and moderate flooding across multiple river systems. It is without question one of the most significant weather days Australia has seen in years. So let's get right into it. At 10 o'clock this morning, AEST Narelle was located 355 kilometres northeast of Cooktown, 505 kilometres east of Coen, moving west-southwest, and she is not slowing down. This will be the first Category 5 cyclone to make landfall in Queensland since severe tropical cyclone Marcia struck in February 2015. The current BOM warning zone covers Lockhart River all the way south to Cape Tribulation, including Coen and Cooktown. If you are in that corridor right now, this is not a drill. Final preparations need to happen today while it is still safe to do so. That means securing boats, tying down anything that can move, and knowing exactly where you will shelter tomorrow. The BOM watch zone extends across the western side of Cape York Peninsula, from Mapoon down to Pormpuror. That includes Waipa and Arakun. You are on notice and the situation for your area is evolving quickly. Kawanyama has had its warning cancelled. That is good news, but conditions in nearby areas will still deteriorate. Now, a Category 5 means we are at the absolute top of the Australian scale. This is catastrophic territory. These are winds capable of demolishing homes, uprooting large trees and turning debris into high-velocity projectiles. BOM is warning of very destructive wind gusts in excess of 250 kilometres per hour near the centre as it crosses the coast. Those extreme winds will not stop at the coastline. They will push inland for a significant distance after landfall. From Lockhart River to Cape Flattery, destructive gusts to 160 kilometres per hour are likely from tonight. If Narelle tracks even slightly south of the current forecast, those destructive gusts extend further toward Cooktown. BOM has flagged that scenario explicitly. From Thursday evening, damaging gusts to 120 kilometres per hour are expected between Lockhart River and Cooktown. Again, a more southerly track could push those damaging gusts as far south as Cape Tribulation. This is directly from BOM's warning. Damaging gusts to 120 are also forecast to spread across the Cape York Peninsula interior from Friday, including Mapoon to Pormpuror. That is a huge area of remote country. Communities there need to be preparing right now, not waiting until the winds arrive. On rainfall, BOM is forecasting heavy rain likely to cause flash flooding from Cape Melville to Cape Tribulation from Thursday evening. As Narelle crosses the peninsula on Friday, that intense rainfall zone pushes northward and west, extending to inland areas around Coen. BOM has flagged locally intense rainfall in the zone bounded by Lockhart River, Cape Flattery, Pormpuror and Waipa during Friday. Roads in this region will become impassable. The Bruce Highway north of Cairns will be affected and travel should be avoided entirely. On the coast, tides between Coen and Cape Tribulation will run higher than normal as Narelle approaches and crosses the coastline. BOM notes a small chance that tides could approach the highest tide of the year during Friday, a rare and serious combination of factors. The most urgent coastal threat is in Princess Charlotte Bay, which sits directly in the path of the cyclone centre. BOM is specifically warning of a dangerous storm tide in that bay where the ocean is physically pushed onshore by the cyclone's circulation. Storm tides are historically responsible for more cyclone deaths than wind. Any coastal residents in Princess Charlotte Bay must act on this warning immediately. Once Narelle crosses Cape York and enters the Gulf of Carpentaria, BOM forecasts the warm Gulf waters will re-energise the system. BOM is forecasting re-intensification to severe tropical cyclone status. Weather zones modelling drawing on ECMWF guidance suggests possibly Category 3. A second landfall is most likely over the Northern Territory's eastern top-end modelling points to near Groot Eylandt on Saturday. BOM's current track has Narelle moving across the NT interior south of Darwin. Darwin itself is not currently in the direct path of the centre. However, the entire top end needs to monitor BOM updates closely. The track carries uncertainty and that picture will evolve over the next 2 days. Catherine is a specific concern. BOM meteorologist Jude Scott has warned that already saturated catchments across the top end will see renewed river rises with this system. Catherine is still in recovery from its worst floods in almost 30 years. Narelle's rainfall could renew that crisis situation over the weekend. Now let's head south to New South Wales, where things are also very messy this afternoon, specifically around Greater Sydney. BOM issued a severe thunderstorm warning at 12:58 this afternoon Eastern Daylight Time for the Metropolitan Forecast District. A very moist atmosphere ahead of an upper trough is combining with surface features to drive severe thunderstorm activity across eastern New South Wales today. At 12:50 this afternoon, a slow-moving severe thunderstorm was detected near Bankstown, producing heavy rainfall and a flash flooding risk. By 1:20 this afternoon, it was expected to affect Fairfield, Auburn, Guildford and Regents Park and Wentworthville by 1:50. With this storm moving slowly, rainfall totals will be significant and concentrated. Western Sydney suburbs are most exposed to flash flooding this afternoon. The broader warning covers Parramatta, so if you are commuting through Western Sydney this afternoon, exercise caution and avoid low-lying roads and underpasses. Stormwater drains and creeks in these suburbs will rise rapidly. Do not drive through floodwater under any circumstances. If it's flooded, forget it. BOM and the State Emergency Service advise people to keep clear of creeks and storm drains and to stay indoors away from windows. For emergency help during floods and storms anywhere in New South Wales, call the SES on 132 500. Now let's look at the broader inland flood picture across Queensland, South Australia and the Northern Territory. It is widespread and complex. Major flooding continues along the Thomson River at Longreach, with the flood peak now tracking downstream towards Stonehenge and Junda. BOM's warning issued Wednesday afternoon advises that major flooding is possible at Stonehenge and Junda from this weekend as the peak continues moving through. Cooper Creek at Windora is sitting just below the major flood level and is forecast to remain near that mark through to the end of the week. Renewed rises are then expected from the weekend as flood peaks from both the Thomson and Barcoo rivers converge on Windora simultaneously. On the Barcoo, moderate flooding continues at Isisford with a peak expected Thursday and potential moderate flooding at Retreat from Saturday. Moving to the Lower Ballon, BOM's Wednesday warning advises moderate flooding is likely at St George from Thursday morning, which is today. The river is forecast to peak near 8.4 metres overnight Friday into Saturday, a moderate flood for the St George community. Further downstream, Derrimbandy may see river levels begin to rise late this weekend or early next week as the flood pulse continues moving south. Major flooding also continues on the Upper Ballonay at Werribone, and a separate BOM major flood warning remains current for that upper catchment. The Flinders River is also under a major flood warning, adding to the extensive flood picture right across Western and Central Queensland. In the Northern Territory, the Daly River and Catherine River are both under active BOM flood warnings, separate from the cyclone threat arriving this weekend. In South Australia, the Warburton River at Pootha Pootha Waterhole is rising as upstream floodwaters arrive from the lower Diamantina River. Cooper Creek near Inaminka is elevated and rising, sitting approximately 3.75 metres above the Inaminka Causeway per BOM's Wednesday warning. BOM is forecasting continued rises along the Warburton River over the coming weeks as slow-moving flood pulses continue arriving from upstream in Queensland. Many roads and access tracks across northeast South Australia are already impacted. Check road conditions before any remote travel in that region. The Northeast Pastoral District Flood Watch has been issued as a final notice. The immediate threat is easing, but prolonged overland flooding continues. Waterlogged country, flooded access roads and isolated homesteads will remain a reality across parts of that vast pastoral district for some time yet. Now, let's bring it back to the big picture and talk through the critical timeline for the next 24 to 48 hours. The most dangerous window begins tonight across far north Queensland as wind speeds escalate rapidly and Narelle closes the final distance to the coast. From Thursday evening, gale force winds will begin affecting communities between Lockhart River and Cooktown. That is tonight for some of those areas. By Thursday night, destructive winds are expected from Lockhart River to Cape Flattery gusts, capable of causing major and irreversible structural damage. And then Friday morning is when it all comes together. Narelle makes landfall, the first Category 5 to strike Queensland since Cyclone Marcia in 2015. The exact landfall point still carries some uncertainty. BOM's core track puts the eye crossing between Lockhart River and Cape Melville on Friday morning. A southward track shift could extend destructive and damaging wind zones further toward Cooktown. The BOM warning zone is deliberately drawn to account for that. This is why everyone in the entire warning zone, not just communities closest to the projected eye, must prepare for the most serious possible outcome. After crossing the peninsula, Narelle tracks into the Gulf of Carpentaria during Friday afternoon and evening, weakening as she moves over the landmass. Then the Gulf's warm tropical waters re-energise the system. BOM is forecasting re-intensification to severe tropical cyclone status, likely Category 3 by the weekend. For the Northern Territory, this is your heads up. A severe cyclone impacting the eastern top end this weekend is a credible and current BOM forecast scenario. Arnhem Land, Groot Eylandt and Gulf communities monitor BOM warnings closely over the next 48 hours as this situation develops rapidly. Across southern and eastern Australia, wet season moisture continues to fuel storm systems and contribute to the ongoing flooding across multiple catchments. We are at the seasonal crossover deep wet season in the north and early autumn in the southeast, and the atmosphere right across the country is very active. For southeast Queensland and New South Wales, no cyclone threat your way, but keep across the inland flood situation on your local rivers this week. The major inland flood peaks are still working through multiple systems and will continue affecting western communities well into next week and beyond. The most important action right now, if you are anywhere in far north Queensland, is to finalise your preparations while daylight remains today. Secure boats, secure outdoor furniture and remove anything from your property that could become a projectile in extreme wind conditions. Know your evacuation routes. Know your nearest emergency shelter. Have food, water, medications and charged devices ready right now. If your life is in danger at any point, call 000. That's 000 immediately. Do not wait. Do not hesitate. For everyone across Australia dealing with flooding in Sydney, in Queensland, in South Australia, in the NT, the message is the same. Do not drive, walk, swim or play in floodwater. It is dangerous. It is unpredictable. It is never worth risking your life. For non-life-threatening emergencies during floods and storms, call the State Emergency Service on 132 500 anywhere in Australia. Check the ABC, your local media and your local government disaster dashboards for real-time updates as this situation continues to develop. This is a rapidly evolving and genuinely dangerous situation across multiple states and territories. We will update you every single day. If this forecast was helpful, please hit like and subscribe and turn on notifications so you do not miss our next update. Take care of yourselves and remember, if it's flooded, forget it. Stay safe out there and we'll see you tomorrow.